242-393-0234. Family Island dialing is toll-free at 242-300-8722. Or you may send a request by email to info@irkabahamas.bs.
In Harper Island, North Venezuela, I'm Charles Fisher. This is ZNS.
"700 islands wrapped in turquoise dreams. Every voice matters, every soul redeems. With a heartbeat broadcasting truth across the waves. Information, liberation. This is our nation state. From Andros to Abaco, a love at a Grand Bahama shore. We're reaching every family, knocking on every door. Not just talking policy, baby, we're changing lives. When social service meets compassion, that's when hope survives. We speak your language, we know your name. Through the airwaves, through the struggle, we remain. Building bridges over water, building trust on solid ground. The Bahamas Ministry, where love and justice can be found. We are islands of care in an ocean of need. Planting faith like coconut trees, watching future succeed, watching them grow. Broadcasting truth, serving hearts, making sure you're heard. The Bahamas rises together when we honor every word. This is more than ministry, baby. This is sacred ground. When social services meet heaven, that's when grace abounds.
You know, this is a very special program for me. I have a heart for the young people of this nation. You've heard it so many times. They are our future. Well, our future can only be as strong as the emotional strength of our adolescents. Are we really considering what it means when the World Health Organization, professionals like Dr. Carter Lukey, is telling us that 58% of the young people in our country don't feel as though they have anyone to talk to? That's problem number one. Why is it problem number one? That means there is a breakdown in communication. What is communication? Communication is when the intended message gets to the intended listener. But the intended listener doesn't get the message if a message isn't being sent, or the activity from the sender is creating a noise. What is the noise? Our lifestyles. We tell our children to do one thing and do another. The lack of love and bonding. We have to look at ourselves and ask the question, why are so many young people choosing to attempt to commit suicide? We're going to talk about that today. We have a guest who attempted to commit suicide a couple of times. We're getting ready to go back to school. And some of us are in school already. And I am really very troubled and concerned as I talk to so many young people who feel that the environment in many of our schools is like a pressure cooker. What's the pressure? The peer pressure? Coming to choose edibles, to have sex. Mind you, they do say sometimes the teachers don't know. Or teachers being mean. They are hurting people, hurting people. A teacher can be hurting. boy, people who just feel less than, rejected because of somebody's attitude towards them. You know what rejection means? Rejection means to throw away. Can you imagine 58% of the youth feel that we just throw them away? Get out of here. No. That's not who we are as Bahamians. The other guest we're going to talk to is, she felt like she was thrown away. The community brought her up. The community in the Bahamas was everybody next door was auntie, Mr. or Mrs. We had delegation power because we helped each other succeed. That value system that is evidenced in the levels of crime, whether it is the level of incest, domestic violence, drug abuse. Let me tell you something. When I went to college, the first day, it was just not 50 people living, black people living in where I went. And they took me into this room where some students were. Everybody was smoking dope and snorting coke. And when they passed that thing around to me, I had enough strength because all I could do is see my mommy and my daddy. They say, Debbie, the only thing you have is your good name. But that came from a foundation of values. Nobody has a perfect family. I'm not saying I have a perfect family, but I could see what it means. I understand what it means to come from a home where me and my two brothers, Greg and Wayne, were loved. Both of my parents are deceased. I'm just saying my personal little testimony here because all of us have something. And this program is not to be judgmental, but to inspire us to evaluate ourselves so that we could become strong again as a nation. Because when you hurt, I hurt. And let's turn to a young lady. I'm going to call her Leela for this program, who is hurting, and she's getting stronger. She attempted suicide, not once, I think at least twice. But she feels totally rejected from the community, and thank God, and I salute her family, her parents, because it always does not necessarily start from the home. And let's see what she has to say. That's enough of me. Let's talk to Leela and see what she... Leela, welcome to Taking Social Services to the People.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yes.
How are you?
I'm fine. I'm so proud of you.
Thank you.
I have had occasion to watch you, and you know, you have such strong leadership
Thank you.
ability, and in spite of the challenges that you have faced, that you are facing, I salute you for pressing on. But we wanted to talk a little bit today about your attempts at suicide, because
Yes, ma'am.
so many of our young people are sad,
They are.
depressed. Tell me why you think they are sad.
Young people feel this need to, well, I don't want to generalize, but I think most young people feel the need to fit in and act a certain way. And those pressures, along with pressures from either family members, friends, no matter who it is, it becomes suffocating. It feels lonely. Some people don't even have friends. Let's go back to bullying. Some people are bullied. Some people are just hurt on a daily, and they have no one to talk to. And that silence is the killer. Not being able to speak to somebody about it. That lack of communication, as you said. If someone is afraid to speak or unwilling to speak, there needs to be somebody else, anyone, a stranger, a family member, to come in to look and support them. But when I, for first attempted suicide, I felt like I was alone. I felt like no one loved me. I felt like...
What made you feel alone? What made you feel like no one loved you?
I didn't really have much friends. I always felt like an outcast. My parents are older in age, so I didn't have much siblings growing up at a certain time. And days when I would be sad and depressed, I didn't feel comfortable going to my parents, even though I'm sure if I went, they would have supported me. But during that moment, I really felt like I had no one. I remember writing my letter, sitting in the closet. I had the rope tied around my neck, just thinking, standing and waiting. And for some reason, I could not get my mother out of my mind. And I prayed and I said, God, help me, please. And that is when I put the rope down. But the thing is, I was so young at that time.
How old were you?
I'm not sure, but I know it was primary school. I was in
Primary school?
primary school.
So what got in your head to say that I need to take my life?
Just so much overwhelming emotions and not having anybody to express that to. Support systems are very, very important. 58% of young people feel as though they have no one to talk to. That silence is the killer. That silence.
Well, why didn't you feel that there was an aunt, an uncle, a cousin, somebody in school? Why did you not feel that there was someone you could confide in?
Nobody really seemed to show that type of environment, embracement, that type of understanding or care that say, hey, this is how I'm feeling, please help me. Bahamians have a lot of stigma towards those certain types of feelings. It's like, just get up out of it, just do it. It's okay, you have nothing to be depressed for, you have nothing to be sad for. You're in school, you're a child. Why are you feeling this way? But the feelings are there and they need to be addressed.
So you feel like the adults generally feel as though you just imagining this
Yes.
to get attention.
Definitely.
What are you talking about? You don't have any bills to pay?
Definitely, that is it right there.
Yeah, but the mere fact that you didn't feel that there was anybody, you said, paying attention to you, were there not expressions of affection from your family? I'm not talking about your parents now. You said you feel that they would have listened.
Yes.
But outside of your parents,
Yes.
you did not feel that your friends or your family were sufficiently interested or engaged in your life for showing any sort of care or affection?
Yes, that is it right there. I felt as though they saw me as weak. You know, I felt as though they saw me as just someone who was being dramatic, someone who would just get over it. But what they didn't realize was they were doing more hurt than good. Because some people say it's just supportive criticism, but that criticism hurts. And that brings me to my second attempt. But that happened when I was a little older, around junior high school. A family relative was just very degrading towards me. He belittled me. He made me feel like I was...
You're degrading. Give me some examples. What do you mean?
Like, he would say things like, when you reach older, you're not gonna be anything but a teen mom. Things like that, like you're gonna be on drugs or you're gonna go outside and have sex and do these things. And that's the next thing. Bahamians feel as though young females are fast and are interested in doing all these things, but in reality, they are the ones being preyed on. The adults should be the ones to protect the children. It should not be a child fighting for love or looking for love in the wrong places and then getting used. you know. But during that time, I did not feel supported. I felt like I had no one. I was already dealing with things in school. I was already feeling bad about myself subconsciously. You know, that time I did cry. I cried out to God. I remember singing a song, He Raised Me Up. Tears streaming down my face. And I saw the bottle of pills on the dresser. And I said, you know what? Maybe that's all I will be. Someone who will be pregnant and drugged up and used because I wasn't seen as conventionally attractive or anything. So I felt as though that was it for me. So I took the pills, the whole bottle, and then I went out to an event later with some friends because I said, if this is how I'm going to die, I want to die around the people that seem to care about me. But when the effects started to kick in, I immediately regretted it. And I think that's how a lot of people who do commit suicide feel. I think they wait for someone, anyone, to just reach out and talk to them and stop them. But as Bahamians, as people, we lack empathy. We don't reach out. So, yeah, I was in extreme amount of pain. My head was hurting. My stomach was hurting. I felt like I was dying. And then I just remember laying down and praying. My friends came to me and asked what was wrong. I said, oh, nothing's wrong. But I was just praying to God, praying to God. And then for some reason, I kid you not, I don't know how, I ended up feeling better. And I never told anyone. I never told anyone. But I immediately regretted it afterwards because life, it can be beautiful. It's humans that are cruel. And we should make our lives beautiful for ourselves. So if you feel as though you don't have anyone to talk to, think again. Try a stranger. Try a chat room. You know, young people, we must come together for each other. Because we're all we have. We are the new generation. We matter. You are important. Don't ever think that the world would be better without you. Because you are you, and there is no one like you.
That's very powerful. Now I'm going to tell you we have to go, and I'm sorry.
Yes.
But, you said so many things in there.
Yes, Mom.
Challenges. We'll talk about that with our next guest about going to chat room, because some of those chat rooms are very poisonous.
That's true.
It's always important to know the quality of someone's character
Yes, Mom.
before we trust them with our personal information. Some people prey on vulnerability.
That's true.
Yeah, so we have to be sure that we strip, I'm going to put it this way, this mean spirit, that's not who we grew up
Yeah.
as. We were not a mean people.
Yeah.
We looked out for each other. The guest that we'll have next, we're going to let her tell her story because her mother wasn't there. Her father wasn't there. But there was a community that she's trying to rebuild because she had Auntie, the next neighbor there, and Grammy there. People who were not related to her there. So sometimes some of you who are watching, you don't have mommy or daddy there, but somebody is there. We have to make sure that we are there for one another. We were born to be great. You have the DNA of greatness, so do I. But we strip it from one another when we are mean. Our next guest, you know, she was able to cut through all of the meanness because of the foundation. She didn't have mommy, she didn't have daddy, but there surrounded her in her community was kindness. That's who Bahamians are. I don't know where we get off at. That's what the old people say. Where you get off at? Man, where we get off at? Let's come back. When we are kind, we don't need social services as much. When we are stable, we don't need social services as much. The greatest governance begins with self-governance. And then when we are kind and we need something, there's Auntie right next door. She ain't Auntie, but she's just like your auntie, because we respect that older person and they respect the younger person and they feel a duty. It's a duty to help bring our children up. Let's talk to Dr. Tiffany Newman when we return.
You can now stay in tune with all things social services on any one of our social media platforms: TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Also, missed any of our Taking Social Services to the People programs? No worries. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, The Bahamas Heartbeat, to watch all of our programs and special content. Social Services is the heartbeat of the nation, taking our clients from dependency to self-sufficiency to economic empowerment.
We're looking forward to this moment so that you can meet our next guest. She is the officer in charge of the business license land use unit of the Ministry of Works. But she also, along with her husband, they have an orphanage, HGRD Orphanage and Empowerment Center. And I make these two distinctions because wherever we have come from, our purpose has a destiny. And the destiny for the reason you were born is always great. You and I have the DNA of greatness in us. It is when we lose focus of where we're going in the future, where we are now, what we're doing, to create an environment that facilitates empowerment, that facilitates the release of greatness. And sometimes our environment speaks to failure and hopelessness. But if we have the right mindset, we know how to navigate through. So Dr. Tiffany Newman is able to navigate around disadvantages. And now she is soaring in her professional career, but she's reaching back to help others. She has this orphanage along with her husband, and she's helping children who don't see a way out. Welcome.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here, Doc.
Yes, you know, you inspire me. I was telling you. You know, it takes a lot to take on an orphanage. Tell me about your vision and how you got here.
Okay. Looking back, it may seem like a lot, but living it, it didn't. It's literally my life. So coming up as a young person, my mom was in high school when she got pregnant with me. She would have had me 9 months later. She would have had my brother. And so she was actually out there trying to find the tools she needed to survive. And so she would have left me with my grandmother from, I was 6 weeks old, my grandmother told me, and my brother right after, following my sister and another sister. But the community in which we were brought up, they were family. So we lived in this area where we lived here. There was a shop downstairs. We had a lady in the back. We call her Cousin Frances, learning she was not our cousin later on in life. Across the street, we had Auntie Ambrista. And on the other side, we had Cousin Bullard. So this is the community in which we grew up, in which we were raised. They were close-knitted. And so we would have, well, Mom would get us ready for school, send us to school. We would come home. We would hang out with Cousin Frances in the back where she would teach us Bible songs, et cetera, et cetera. We would go to Auntie Ambrista, who would help us with homework. On Sundays, Cousin Frances took us to church. Yes, she did. And I was just singing some of these songs the other day, which she taught us in her front room. She had a little piano. And so we got the basic teaching of what God is trying to show us, who we are, where we come from Cousin Francis. So the community grew us up. Everybody was there. Everybody came together. Someone took us to church. Someone helped us with homework. Someone fed us. Someone plaited our hair, braided our hair. Teachers were there because, like you talked about earlier, we were a tight-knit community. Everybody worked together. And from there, I was able to become successful in many different veins and areas of my life, professionally, personally. And I said, you know what? I am going to give back. I'm going to create that village because this is what young people need. They need to have their spiritual health. They need to have emotional, physical. They would have to have their needs met in terms of food, clothing, Piaget's theory, the basic needs, in order for them to get to the tip of that pyramid. And so I just worked on giving back, and every step of the way the Lord guided, the Lord guided, the Lord guided. You had favor, you had open doors. Even here today is an open door. And just being obedient and sensitive to the needs of the Holy Spirit. And that is how we got into it. It was not everything just piled up all at once. One step at a time, one thing at a time, one person at a time, one door at a time, $1 at a time. And God allowed these things to happen where we're actually constructing a village. And so we would have networked with Jenny Humes in reference to the John and Jenny Humes House of Refuge, Food and Clothing Distribution Center. We are building the residential care center so that the persons can come into, the children can come into one, under one umbrella rather than being in the satellite homes where they are now. So we wouldn't have to take groceries to 3, 4, 5 different homes. We would not have to be having the children at different schools because in this village that we're constructing, there's going to be a school. There's going to be a church. So everything that I got coming up in that community is the vision that I had to do into this community, this village that's now being constructed. Even in terms of the education that I got, architecture, carpentry, did all of this, you know, not understanding until after the fact. So able to draw the plan for the place, working with the Bahamas government, able to network in reference to social service in the land, and everything just worked itself out. And I'm grateful, I'm thankful, I'm humble to be able
You work with social services?
Well, when we had to do the interview for the land itself, social services had to come in to interview some of our children, interview the homes that we literally had in order to give the government I guess a write-up or a report on what we were doing and recommending, hey, this is something good, and we do support that. We do support this land being given to this institution.
You know, you're building this village that some people now in the Bahamas have not experienced, but you're working with young people who feel rejected. I want to hear about what their mindset is, because we just heard from Leela, and we just seem not to get it these days that words shape our world. The world was created through words.
That's correct.
And we are not thinking about how what we say can change the direction of somebody's life. What would you say, and how would you respond to what you heard Leela say?
I totally agree. First of all, she's a very brilliant. She's a brilliant. Leela is a brilliant young lady. Number one, she's a survivor. She's a debater. She has the gifting of a lawyer. She is an advocate. And so the things that she's saying, she's just giving it a voice. You have a lot of young persons that are there that are afraid to speak out because they don't want to be ostracized, penalized. The more you complain, the more you cry, the more you talk about what's happening, the more persons shun you, because sometimes persons just don't know what to do with you, honestly. And as Bahamians, we've gotten so busy. There's so much things going on in our lives, so many distractions that we no longer have time for community. So the things that she was saying, she was giving them a voice. Yes, there is you want to talk, you want to share, you're going through things. People look at you and say, I agree. What you going through? You in school. But there are things that these young people are going through. The bullying is very serious. We talked about the fish being out of water. Fish are brilliant once they're in the water, but we have environments that our young people are in. That's not the water that they need to be in. And so they're uncomfortable. They're being shaped. They're being molded, but they don't know which way to turn. They don't know how to respond. They don't know what to do. They don't have anywhere to turn. And so they turn around and they turn on the inside. Or like they talk about the chat rooms where they are being preyed upon, where predators, they know, okay, she wants love. I can hear that she suffered from rejection. I can hear that she's looking for a sense of purpose, a sense of belonging. And they create the false environment in these, through social media, for these young people to open up and share more about themselves, and then they're in a worse state at the end of that than they were in the beginning. But this community that we need to create, this village that we need to create, was the village back then, where you would have adults that are going to take the time and make themselves available to listen, to hear. Also being honest. She talked about suicide. I attempted to commit suicide as well.
You?
At the age of 13 years old.
Why?
I felt overwhelmed. I felt that there was the same thing she was saying. There was no one to talk to. Nobody would understand. I didn't know where to turn. You never feel as if you're good enough. You can't fit in.
Is that not feeling that you were good enough as a result? You didn't know your mom. You knew your mommy, but she wasn't taking care of you. What are those peer pressure experiences like? Did you know your daddy? Give me the scenarios that inflamed your emotions to the point that you didn't feel like it was worth it for you to live.
Okay, so you're blessed. You understand these things after the fact. After the fact, you realize.
13-year-old.
At 13, I didn't understand that. Why didn't my mother want me? Why didn't she fight harder for me? Why didn't she? But I understand the story. And so this is what you're going through. This is what you're experiencing. You see other kids with their parents. Also, you have situations where we weren't financially there. And so you would not be able to be in certain environments or involved in certain clubs, even as just paying for my BJC examinations. That was painstaking for my grandmother because she had to provide food. She had to provide clothing. So what is BJC? She didn't even understand that. And so having to fight for that, where other persons, their parents understood the importance of national examinations. They understood certain things.
Wait, hold on now. Are you saying that your grandmother didn't
understand the importance of it over food?
Over food. So the choice was between BJCs and food. And she thought
Or rent.
Or rent. And how many would be in your house? Because you mentioned that you have four kids. And did she have anybody else living with her?
No, my grandfather, her husband.
Okay, so she was fighting for 4 kids and rent and food took priority. So that means you were left without what?
Without, in a lot of instances, sometimes even as simple as lunch, believe it or not, in terms of supplies for school. I remember with art, with the art examinations or the art program, you had to have paint, canvas, et cetera, not having any of that, having to hustle. In school, hustling. There are times when didn't have lunch, you had to go and, this is serious, but I'm telling this story to help somebody. But you had to go ahead and you had to say, you know what, would you like me to get your lunch for you? And someone would give you a little 10-cent tip, 25-cent tip, back then it was a lot, so that you could buy $1 fries, so that you could have something to eat.
So you had $1 fries with the 10 cents for being
That's right.
So you got your little tips.
That's right.
From there.
Teach you about being an entrepreneur as well.
But so is there the trend that you see now? What are the mindsets? Because at least you had, because I can imagine if you couldn't have lunch money, it comes to mind how much like the uniform assistance programs that social services has.
Very important.
You think that's important?
Very important. That uniform program is very important. That free lunch program is very important. Even though there's a stigma somewhat with it, but at least it's there to save lives. Some parents don't have it. the cost of living is right now is very high. Back then, we thank God for hand-me-downs, and so we had hand-me-down uniforms, hand-me-down shoes. Thank God for those. And that's what would we have done. There are some books we were able to get because somebody passed the book down. And so the programs that
Do we
social
have
service
the
has-
pass me book down mentality now? Do we have that kind of, huh?
It's a but frowned upon. It's frowned upon.
It's frowned upon.
But we
it
can
was
make it.
accepted in those days.
We can make it sexy.
We can make it sexy. All right, yes. So your village is to make helping each other sexy again.
That's correct.
Because there's a double-edged sword. How do we deal with this? And I know we're probably going to deal with this when we come back. I see the producer telling me we're running out of time here, but listen. There is such a thin line between not being proud when you need help, that you need that breakfast, that you need the uniform assistance program that social services provides. And then there's the entitlement culture, where you become lazy. Slackheads is brother to him who destroys. So when we don't work, when we become dependent on anyone, social services, what's your cousin's name again?
Francis.
Cousin Francis.
Addie and Bristol.
Yes, and Addie and Bristol. When we become too dependent, it destabilizes our economy. We're going to talk more about that when we come back.
Have you heard about the Promise Unit? The Department of Social Services provides food assistance, housing assistance, uniform assistance, burial assistance, and financial assistance. Promise makes it easy. You can log on via cell phone, your computer, or your tablet. Sign up today at promise.gov.bs. Once you've registered and created a profile, you can call the Promise Customer Contact Center and speak with someone about any inquiries at 1-242-4-PROMISE. That's 242-477-6647.
Welcome back. Isn't it just a joy to listen to Dr. Newman? You know, I like people when they real. You know, sometimes people just pretend that they never went through anything. No, whatever we're going through is to help somebody else. And just before we took the break, we were talking about, you know, there's such a delicate, fine line between pride. When you know you need help, but you're ashamed. I mean, I've been through that, right? My God. I don't suppose to ask anybody to borrow a couple of dollars. Oh boy, life happens. You better swallow that pride so that you can live to see another day. And then there's the mindset that becomes dependent on somebody else giving you without giving the focus and time to be diligent. Diligent hands will rule. Laziness ends in slave labor. So this is my little thing now. I going off script just for a moment. That's all right with you. You know, we were born to be rulers. That's the purpose of mankind. That doesn't have a color, it doesn't have a gender. But I am a little concerned that as Bahamians, we are not as diligent as we used to be. We are more dependent and let me just say, I'm not talking about the dependency that happens because life happens. You could be born into a situation like you, which your mommy giving you up for 6 weeks, that you were born into dependency, but you represent what the ministers say, okay, we want stability. We want to move from that dependency. We want stability in our homes, to self-sufficiency, to economic empowerment. But a lot of people are very comfortable staying on that dependent line, and we don't have the personal fulfillment. That's the irony of it all. You never be fulfilled and happy if you're depending on social services or somebody else to make it. It only comes through hard work. Speak to that. How did you come from dependency to now achieving at high levels in government and being a philanthropist and coming back to say thank you to those people who were born in dependency, and now you are teaching them how to fish and creating a village that represents who we are as the foundation of this country. The Bahamians are great.
Yes.
Tell me how you got through that process.
Oh, Dr. Bartlett, number one, you have to say only God and but God, first and foremost. But secondly, you have to, looking back, understanding the things that happened taught me certain skills. For example, entrepreneurship, how to study hard, how to manners and respect, make things happen. So you learn these principles, these wise proverbs. You learn there are ways for you to escape this. How do we get out of this? And you start to have conversations with persons. You could be in school, you can talk to your teachers, you can talk to your pastor, you can talk to persons that you know overcame, or you persons that not even overcame, but persons that are doing something different, and you're seeing it. Even in primary school, there were persons like yourself who would come to the schools and motivate the children. And I would always be like, oh my goodness.
I came to your school?
I remember at one point in time. And so you would take these lessons. But the moral of the story is, even though you went through these things and you understand with humility that it was only God that brought you through, you want to give back, but you have to have a plan. You have to have a plan. You have to have things in place so that persons, like you said, would be able to, number one, open up to you, not be prideful, open up to the ministry, open up to the organization, not be prideful. That comes through an understanding that this person cares about me deeply, that there is the love of Christ here, and that I can speak to this person in confidence, knowing that this is confidential. It also comes with a sense of humility from the person also, because the person has to understand that I'm here now, but I am not going to be here next year. You have to know that. You have to want that. You don't want to be at free lunch and free uniforms every year because it's available. So we have to have things in place. And from there, you set a plan, you set a goal, and you set yourself towards that plan, that goal. You look at low-bearing fruits, and the Holy Spirit just makes a way. And from there, you move forward into doing some of the greatest things that you can ever imagine, one step at a time. I tell you, I love wise proverbs. The journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step. And so you just put one foot in the front of the other. Trust God, knowing that He has made a way for you. Trust your community. Trust your environment. Trust that there is a Creator.
I you right there. Some of these environments.
I should say that the environment that God has put you in to pull you up, push you towards your purpose and your destiny.
But yes, all that is good. And it applies if you have the environment that can empower you.
That's correct.
But we just heard Leela say in the last segment, she said, now listen, I didn't know where to go. She didn't have an environment who, we go taking social services. People, if you haven't seen any of our programs before, you can go on to the Bahamas Heartbeat and look at some of the programs where we go in those environments. Particularly, what strikes me and comes to memory right away is a 77-year-old father who was left in an abandoned home. Oh my God. And he has family. And the family making it. Well, I don't know what brought us to this point, but, there's a law. There's a principle. Principles don't change, nor do they discriminate. Honor your mother. They didn't say what kind of mother. They didn't say what kind of father. And then no good daddy, no good mommy, good money. Honor. There is a blessing. Can we kind of equate those laws, or have we connected that so many of our young men, and even, let's think about this, just recently 3 women were shot. We would never touch a woman in our culture with bullets or with striking hands and with the violence, and we just have become too comfortable with our men being slaughtered, 4 men shot in 10 hours. That is not the culture of our country. But can it be tied to what Leela said? At age of 13, she thought about committing suicide. People speaking down on her, making her feel like nothing. So that means that there was no bonding. She didn't feel love. And there was nothing and no one that she felt that she could connect with. See, she didn't have that environment that she could trust, or that but because that's a problem. Because we go to the environment where we are in and it's toxic and it misdirects and it pollutes the way we think. So what do we say? What do we say to the people who are watching us, like Leela, who don't know where to go? And even, can I say this, you and I are members of the body of Christ. But if we can tell the truth.
Yes, let's be honest.
Judgment begins in the house of the Lord. So why isn't Leela coming to find us? Why? What is it going to take us to get our country back?
We start off with the word of God. You said something powerful. We are in the house of the Lord. They're not coming. If we as a people will humble ourselves and pray, He will do it.
But now I can challenge you again.
Challenge me again.
Be praying, but where's the action? Now you doing. I invite you here because you acting.
Yes.
I ain't talking to you. You know how to say. So I don't mean,
Yes.
Because clearly
but it's the truth.
the action. But isn't it true? It is true. All of these churches on every corner, and you tell me Leela can't find a church where someone would listen, believe, and guide her in the right direction?
The theme for our outreach community center is James 1:27, caring for the orphans and the widows and refusing to let the world corrupt us. And that is something that we have to stand. I intentionally didn't speak about church. I intentionally didn't speak about certain environments because that's a lot of controversy behind that. However, as adults, we can't save everybody. But we can do it with Alelia, who comes in our doors. You said something powerful when I came in here today. You said we have 4 of the most amazing summer students that we can have. So that means that these 4 are in your care. And what are you doing with them? I heard from each of them, and they talked about how amazing you were, that you listened, that you gave them a voice, and that is how we do it. Everybody may not be able to do it, but what are you going to do with the 4 that comes across your doorstep? What am I going to do with the 18 that I have at my doorstep? What is our camera lady, our producer, everything she's doing in this room? What is she doing with the ones that come across her path? That is how we're going to do it.
You know what? And I have to tell you, wasn't that so practical, Ms. Margot? Because you know what? We approach it as a team. It's not me. They feel at home, precious summer students. They feel at home because they feel love from our team here.
That's correct.
Because if it just came from me and they did not exude and exemplify character and love and kindness and mentorship, then the impact I had, or vice versa, would be minimized. So it's amazing to see what love does, because, you know, some of our summer students were withdrawn, right?
That's correct.
But now, man, they so open, and you know, it's like we just want to keep them here.
Social butterflies.
So, well, you know,
with the environment.
With the environment, yes. Would you agree with that, Ms. Blackman? Yes, she's shaking her. You can't see, but I just, you know, she's shaking her head. But and guess what? When we marginalize these and reject this talent, something happens when you are in this environment that loves, that nurtures, that directs, that disciplines. Love is discipline too. You know, that's right. What did you say about Ms. Blackman? I can talk it on the air. What you say about her? order.
Talking.
You say she's the taskmaster.
Order. I love it.
Yeah. Yeah. And Mr. Clark, there's the same thing. It's the order, but it's in love. You know the difference. And because sometimes people think love is freedom without boundaries. There is no freedom without the boundaries of values. And so, can you speak to that? Tell us, these 18 residents in your village, in your orphanage, what is the trending that you see in their mindset, and what do you feel that they need more of to have them blossom?
Okay. One of the stories I like to tell them in terms of that same word, boundary, is you don't know you're free unless you understand. Would be if you're a toddler and you're running around in this yard, there was no fence up, what do you think you're going to do? They say run in the street. Exactly. How is that love? If I leave you, I loose you to run around in the yard, but I don't have a fence or some type of protective barrier, and I allow you to run around and run into the street, is that love? And they understand.
Yes, that's irresponsibility.
Responsibility. That's not showing you love, because love is caring, love is concern, love is protection. And so if I put up a fence to say don't go any further than this, it's not to stop you from being great, it's not to stop you from being free, it's to cover you and protect you until such time you can walk up to the fence and open the gate on your own, because you understand how to do that, and you also understand when you walk out that gate what challenges are there. So that's all we're doing. We're grooming you, we're working with you, we're training you, we're mentoring you, we're showing you some things until such time that you're able to walk out that gate and be prepared for what is out there, because there's a world out there. We talked about it earlier. There's a world out there. There are wolves out there. People want to destroy, pull down, and tear down. And so love, concern, yes, but boundaries are a must. And so that's the first thing we teach these kids. The second thing I would say is something like this. I said, you can tell me anything you want to tell me. Don't disrespect me. And I tell them some of the extreme things that they can say, like, no, why are you saying that? And then they feel more free just talking about the other stuff, because I'm like, I wasn't born this size. I've been there. It may be a bit different because of technology, and I have a team of persons that understand exactly what I am saying. So if I'm not in place, they are there. And so they're getting one message. It's not a situation where you hear, like you say, do as I say, not as I do. No. Everybody is doing and saying, so it's this one language, one voice, one culture. In order for you, you're gonna make it, you're gonna do well, you're gonna be great, but you have to follow guidelines, you have to follow procedure, you have to follow order. And there are times that we have to be willing to admit as adults, we don't know it, we don't know everything, and we make mistakes. We had to be prepared to apologize. I'm so sorry, I did not understand. I'm so sorry, I didn't hear you, I was not listening. We have to be able to do these things. We have to be real with the young people today. And that's what attracts them. That's what draws them to this team here. Because they see that you ladies, and even gentlemen, I guess, in the area, in the room, are real. And they can talk and they can relate. Also, confidentiality. You're not going to talk about them to tear them down or pull them down. Yes, there's a team, you have to share what's happening with the team, but it's to build you up, not to break you down. And also relationships. And that's why I thank God for you. You have really, really showed me what it means to be in relationships with persons, with women that are really out there making a difference and doing great things in the lives of these young people. I don't feel alone. We don't feel alone. We feel as if there are people out there that are doing it also, and it's very encouraging. And so I can go on and on and on and on for the life lessons, because I'm living it, like I said. But I know for time's sake, I will pass to Mike.
We're gonna pass. You talk about relationships. You know, relationships mean connection. So the quality of your relationship will depend and determine on the quality of your life. Our final segment in a moment.
Have you heard about the Promise Unit? The Department of Social Services provides food assistance, housing assistance, uniform assistance, burial assistance, and financial assistance. Promise makes it easy. You can log on via cell phone, your computer, or your tablet. Sign up today at promise.gov.bs. Once you've registered and created a profile, you can call the Promise Customer Contact Center and speak with someone about any inquiries at 1-242-4-PROMISE. That's 242-477-6647.
Dr. Tiffany Newman, I thoroughly enjoyed being here with you. I honor you. I am so proud of you. I love you. You have such purity of heart. Thank you for the investment that you and your husband are making in our kids. And I know the day will come that history will be made, that you are impacting generations with the work that you are doing. And we will see the evidence that these leaders that you have taken under your care will help be an example of what greatness is, because they have a great... I want you to just give your final thoughts. As we speak to our young people and our parents, we have a few more minutes. Just you close us out.
Okay. A recurring theme that I'm hearing is powerful words. Biblical days, the father would bless the child, and the child would go on to being what the father said. We have to remember that. As parents, you may not be able to understand what your child is going through for whatever reason. You may not be agreeing with what your child is saying, but that's their voice. Don't speak death on them. Speak life. If you're seeing actions that doesn't line up with what your expectations are, you have the power to speak life and pull down the actions that you're saying without breaking down the child. Our children are impressionable, and our children look up to the parents. And so I want to encourage our parents, don't give up on your children. Speak life. To a parent that may not know what to do, there's help, there's hope. There's nothing wrong with saying, I need help. Turn to social service. I mean, there are so many other places, but just because we're here. And say, I need help. I don't know what's happening with my child. I don't know what I need to give the child, but I do know I need help. Do that. And to our children, Dr. Bartlett and I were just talking off air, this program has opened my eyes to the fact that the patrons that find me or I find, we have one another. So the team that I have, I can depend on them. But what about the kids that I don't see? What about the persons in the community that I don't touch? And so I just want you to know that we're praying for you. But there is a community for you. If you're not feeling safe, if you're not feeling that you can trust the adults, if you're not feeling that you understand what's happening, reach out. And don't stop reaching out. If you reach out and that person disappoints you, or that group or that ministry disappoints you, continue to reach out. If the church fails you, continue to reach out. Don't stop, because your very life depends on it. Your destiny depends on it. And there's so much on the inside of you young people. That is the reason why the enemy is trying to destroy you now. Push past that. Reach out for the help that you need. Use your words, as our young lady did. Speak it. Talk about it. Don't allow the enemy to shut you down until such time that you find the help that you need. It may not come today. It may not come within a week. It may not come within a month. But help is there. Continue to reach out, because not only are you depending on you, but the future self, your future you, is going to be so grateful that you got that. And there are persons as well, like me. I never thought in a million years that I would be doing what I am doing. But look at what's happening. Suppose I gave up. Suppose I was successful in that suicide attempt. Suppose I believed the lies that the enemy was saying to me over and over again, that I wouldn't be here to even talk to you today. And so continue to reach out. There is help. There is hope. Don't stop. Love you guys.
That's what you know what hope is. Favorable, confident expectation. And listen here, just a final note on what you say you will have. Abraham's name was Abram, father of none. And when he wanted to be the father of many, he changed his name to Abraham. And his generational legacy continues. What is your name? Name yourself according to your vision and your destiny. And remember, you have the DNA of greatness. It doesn't matter where you live, if you know your daddy or mommy or not. There's a path for you to be great. Thanks for watching. Good night.
This has been a production of the Ministry of Social Services, the Heartbeat of the Nation, where we move our clients from dependency to self-sufficiency to economic empowerment.
At Bahama Boulevard,